subscribe to our Patreon, please do. Other than that, we are going to get into Reading's finest. And I'm so excited. In a world far, far away, we had this innovative man born in Nigeria. Okay, I'm done.
Why would you sound like you're about to introduce Wakanda?
I was trying to go for like a movie kind of thing. Anyways, so welcome, Bala Peterson, the man, the myth, the legend.
Thank you very much.
How's
I'm
it
honored
going?
to be here. Very well.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
So excited, so excited. So first and foremost, because Marie demands, you guys give us a good fun fact.
A fun fact.
And look, Glyph is holding the title of the best fun fact. He's an
Definitely
avid
is.
rock climber.
Something spicy.
Fun fact. Will it sound like humble brag if I say I speak multiple languages?
Ooh, how many?
Very well.
How many?
5.
Oh,
But not very well, though.
Okay.
Which one?
Can you name them?
Understand? Sure. So Hausa is my mother's language.
Okay.
Yoruba, I understand those. Speaking is a challenge.
Okay.
I lived in the Netherlands, so Dutch is still my thing.
Wow.
And well, it's not English, so that doesn't really count.
No, it counts.
that counts.
So like we took French my entire life.
Okay.
So I think if I went back, I could probably pick it back up. So it's just one of those things where I don't do any of them well,
Yeah,
but I can.
look,
You can navigate.
You're like
I can
rusty.
navigate.
you got 4 more languages than I do.
And my
I'm-
wife is Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
And we've been together since I was 17. I'm 35. I'll be 36 this year.
17. Faithful black man.
Black men don't
cheat.
Faithful Black
Jay-Z
Men
did,
Association.
but we done. And
So-
Faithful Black Men Association.
Can we just talk about those
Anyways.
2 very separate reactions?
I said faithful black man. And we're walking.
So what's that?
All right.
18 years?
This would be our 19th.
19.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Just one of the things I'm incredibly proud of.
That's
is
amazing.
My relationship with my wife.
That's awesome.
So some Spanish. I went to Kutztown for my undergrad, and so I
Where'd you
took
study there?
my undergrad is in computer science.
Okay.
So I took a bunch of Spanish. I think I dropped the class right at the last minute because I wasn't going to pass it.
Yeah.
But I knew enough to know Moreno. I knew enough, and my father-in-law, he's great, but English is not, his thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
A language
So-
barrier there.
Correct. So, but he's super bright, and so I just wanted to connect with him somehow. But I don't speak it well enough to connect. So
Okay.
It's okay.
that's my fun fact.
Fun fact.
Yeah, you speak more languages than all of us.
Yeah.
She. But moving forward, the question that we always start off with is, who is
are you?
Bala? Yeah, who's Bala Peterson?
Who am I? So I was born in Nigeria, and my family moved frequently. So, but I came to the United States when I was 16,
Mhm.
and so being away from my family, like my mother, my nuclear family, I just forced me to just really try to figure out who I am, what I want to do. So I think that, and also moving around a lot, like forces me to just, like language is important to me,
Mhm.
like trying to connect with people. Like, what do you actually mean when you say something? So I think that a superpower that I'm trying to develop is just try to connect with people as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And just listening to you all discuss, like, for me, that's rich. Like, it's perspective that I cannot share. And so one of the things that I try to do as quickly as possible is like find what we can connect with.
Mhm.
And so the struggle that I've had my entire life is, to be authentic, to try to connect with what Bree is saying, even though I don't know where you're coming from.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so being authentic and being empathetic is something I'm working on, but I think I'm pretty, I don't want to sound like, but I that's my thing. That's who I
Okay.
am. I
Mhm.
think that's one of the greatest value I bring into a room usually.
Okay.
Is that
Yeah.
No, yeah, just
That's like a
relax,
very
yeah.
general question because we
Yeah.
ask anybody and like we always get different responses on like what that is.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to start off with is you own a business, correct?
I
Or
did.
did.
I did. So
Okay.
I've tried many things. So
Mhm.
I was born Nigerian, right? And I had the incredible privilege is a weird word, but I feel incredibly blessed to have come to America.
Mhm.
Like we could go through 1,000 years of, well, not 1,000, but we could go through 50 years of the current political climate, and America will still be the greatest country in the world.
Mhm.
And so, I feel this pressure to be successful.
Mhm.
So I try a lot of different things, and a lot of things have not worked out, if I'm just fully honest.
Mhm.
But I think that my undergrad as a computer science major, as a programmer, like I tried to be the best I could be. And so I thought that I could translate that into a company.
Mhm.
And I wasn't quite a marketing agency, not quite a software development shop. So I always find myself in this weird in-between stage. And I don't think Berks, the challenge with Berks County is that I was not at that point equipped to properly sell
Okay.
my value. So I still do. So I'm currently employed. I love what I do. I think it's the greatest.
What do you
But
do?
I had a company that did software development and design for a while, a marketing agency.
Mhm.
So
What do you do now?
what do I do now? So my undergrad is in computer science. My master's is in project management.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do, I call it. I think everything is marketing. And so what I do now is I help to figure out the best tools and the best ways to go about, specifically in life sciences, consume all this data and use it to do something real.
Mhm.
And so that's the current challenge that I'm faced with. But I think me as a person, I believe that everything is marketing. In the beginning of my career, one of the reasons why my company was not successful was because I was focused on the tactics. So I thought that, oh, you should do a website or you should do Facebook or you should do but never really understood like who is it for and what is it.
Okay.
And so at this phase of my career, I think because of all the failures, I think that I'm developing the skill of like who is this for and what is it? And as soon as we can answer that, I'm going to make up a number, but I would say that that's like 87% of the battle.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
And the tactics, whatever tactics you use, will be successful if we understand who it's for. And so that's what I do. That's what I sell most of the time is I can help you identify who it's for and what it is for. And so that's I think that's what's unique to me. Like I don't just offer to build you a fork or a website. I will say like, what are you eating? And we'll figure out the best tool together.
Okay.
And-
I like that.
I like that.
I like that.
I like that.
It's tough to sell that. It's
Yeah.
very, very tough. Especially here, I think there's this manufacturing, like, what am I going to get at the end of this project? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
In other places, people understand a project plan or a strategy or what. And so that's the eternal struggle that I'm faced with every day.
Right. Any quick questions for you?
Not besides the round.
Yeah. But yeah, to continue this, I just want to make sure I don't like dominate the whole interview kind of thing like that either. But the value, when you talk about the idea of the project management, one, how did you get into project management? But two, how do you want to bring that kind of value into the city of Reading?
Oof. That's such a good question. So when I first came to America, I wanted to study theater.
Oh,
you got
And-
Look at that.
my man.
Okay. This is where it doesn't get. So my father is this brilliant man. Just super lucky to have him as a father. And he's a geophysicist, right? And so he was like, no son of mine will
He's a
study.
what?
A geophysicist.
Oh, you said it too quick for me. I was
I'm
like,
sorry.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I thought that was a religion. Go ahead. Proceed.
Sure, it's all good. It's all good. So So project management and how I want to bring it to the city. So I worked for 10 years before I decided to go back to grad school. And so it was a thing where, if I'm honest, I thought that I needed more education to get more authority. So that when I walk into a room, I say I went to Boston University and all these things. But they say you get your undergrad to get a job and to compete, your master's to create space, and your doctorate to leave a legacy. And so I just started to do a lot of internal work, and I love humans. I think that just moving and just my upbringing allows me to be able to take an idea, work with people, and make it real. So that's what I went to grad school for. And I feel that one of the things that we're missing in Reading or in the city is that everyone has a voice, and I think everyone can bring a voice, but it takes you have to be intentional about doing that, right? You have to be intentional about trying to stay on topic, but also like get the best ideas. But then you also have to be able to create a place where there are no dumb ideas, and the ideas battle, right? So it's merit. It's the best idea should win, right? And so I think that staying on topic, I think that bringing all the ideas onto the table without discounting bad ideas too quickly. And I feel that taking those things and curating it and using it to lead to something tangible, I think that that's something that that's one way I want to contribute. And yeah, it's tough because like the first thing is just, how do we just give everyone a voice? How do we say, it's okay. No dumb ideas. How do we stay on topic? Because a lot of times like we get off topic because of just whatever, emotional, whatever issues. But yeah, so that's something that I am trying to do, man.
Yeah. No, it's cool to like even know that you want to create that kind of space too. And so, because that made me think about like, how are you creating this space and even like your philosophy behind project management. But you were also a piece of the brain behind the new video that we have for the Reading School District as well.
Oh,
and
really?
So,
That was fire.
all right.
Thank you.
Fire.
Yeah.
Well, no, so like David Hall, Lone Cricket on Instagram and everywhere, he is fantastic. I think that not even just David Hall, but like Kristen Boyd Edwards
Oh, shout out
and
to her.
Dr. Mumeen, Dr. Khalid Mumeen,
Shout out
because
to him.
It's his birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday. By
Yeah.
the way, yes, his birthday.
happy birthday. So yeah, that was a really interesting project. I think that this might sound weird, but I feel that the lens through which we look at our city, our kids, our schools, sometimes it's like, I'm not an outsider anymore. I've been here long enough. My kids are, but I still have this, man, everybody I'll tell, I mean, this is still the greatest country. This is the greatest area. It's the best place to raise a family. And if we can't see that, if we can't acknowledge that, so I think that perspective helps projects like that shine, because I am in love. Like, I'm fascinated by the castle on the hill.
Yeah.
I drive past it every day. So graduating in Holland, we had maybe 110 people in the entire school.
Wow.
We have more
cannot
people
relate.
graduate.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Yes. When my wife, like, that just rocked my socks, and just the scale and the and the challenges and the problems that this area faces. It's incredible, and the opportunity for innovation. Like, if we could just activate the minds of, like, holy cow, like, the possibilities are just, it's scary to imagine.
Because that's what I wanted to like even get into more for you too. You see, like, there's a big wave of entrepreneurs and younger people wanting to get into this space. What is, for you being a seasoned vet at this point? He said, no. You're very humble.
Humble, very humble.
I'm not trying to be humble.
There's certain words he's not using because
So modest.
Yeah, don't be modest. Talk your shit. It's
Black History Month.
Yeah,
That's a
History
fact, my guy.
Talk your shit.
But
It's like, this is your time to brag.
shoot,
We're
that's a
here
fact.
for it.
Yeah.
All the way. But yeah, I wanted to know, like, what was your take on seeing, like, is this like a new development that you're starting to see within the city, within younger entrepreneurs? And do you think there's a piece of advice that you even want to give to kind of give a little more direction?
So like I think it was great for me to sit in on the process of this podcast and to hear you all speak. Okay, I'm just trying to be very careful with my words, right?
Yeah.
Because like the truth of the matter is that we all need help,
Mm-hmm.
and we cannot do this on our own. Okay. And you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
Yes.
So the challenge that all of us in the room are faced with, the challenge that I think some of the listeners are faced with is that, so Dayquan, you talk about growing up, all of you talk about like the single parent household.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know your story before this. And like I've made so many mistakes and lost so much money, and I had help. Right? So there's this thing about trust, about the concept of the oppressor or the one who's holding us down is also the one with the resources. And so there's this dichotomy that there's this thing that we have to navigate that said, like, so for example, so I was part of the incubator program. So I'm just being honest. If we're just keeping it real, like I suck financially, right? Like balancing the checkbook. And so I have to humble myself and get help.
Mm-hmm.
And when I reached out and got help, this is wonderful lady, June. She changed the trajectory of my business because I got help and she organized our books. And June she's a strong woman, right? And we got help, and I was able to get like a line of credit. I got an offer from 3 different banks because my books were in order.
Wow.
Right? And so if I were to not reach out for help and get support, and so that's my biggest advice is that usually people who want to be entrepreneurs, there's this great book, The E-Myth. People who want to be entrepreneurs are really good at something, music or whatever. Like I think I was very good technically, but as far as like I can run projects, but running a business is something different, right? Cash flow is a thing, taxes and balancing, like and just your sales pipeline and that entire dynamic. And because I'm a great programmer does not mean I am equipped to run the business at scale. So reaching out for help and humbling ourselves to do that in the midst of, I might get burnt or taken advantage of, or in spite of all of those things, like if I'm clear about where I want to get to, shoot, I don't care who it is. I will reach out for help and leverage all the things that are available. So that's just a trick. And so if I struggle with trust and trusting people, or feel that like I can't, oh man, it's like digging a hole with a spoon, right?
Mm-hmm.
When there's a shovel and there's a bulldozer over there.
Wow.
But because of my perspective on, and so I as a Nigerian, as someone who has had the luck of having my parents and having my, like, authority was never a problem for me, and reaching out. And so that's something that everyone, so I'm rambling, but that's my point is, if you are going to start something, even as a lyricist, you still need help, right? You still need people like Jay and so.
So, question, because you made a really good point into your values and teamwork and getting things balanced. But what does success look like for you or in your position?
That is such a fantastic question.
Thank you.
It is. So, so what does success look like? my career has been really interesting, right? So right out of college, I got this sweet job at Sovereign Bank, and I was not qualified. I was way too young to be doing the work they gave me. I made a bunch of mistakes, which I won't share. And so early enough. So I graduated. I was 19, 20. And so like I was blessed to have a great paying job. So I was really lucky that so making money was not a thing anymore, right? And so I would always look for like the greatest challenges. And so there was a time where I was like, you know what, I can do this myself. And so I quit and freelanced for like 3 years. And then 2008 hit and no one was paying anymore, right? And so one measure for me of success is like the greatest challenge, right? Like finding something that just consumes. Like I come home exhausted. But then, so before I started Cast and Crew, which was my business, I worked at Comcast. And we were doing incredible work at incredible scale. So I was a search, like if you saw a search bar, that was a product I worked on. And incredible. But around that time, we decided we're going to have babies. And so I would commute from here to Philadelphia. It was a 2-hour commute each way. And the work was awesome, but my wife was raising my boys. I have 2 boys. They're now 9 and 10, or 8.5 and 10.
Wow, terrible father. Don't know that. I was a joke. He didn't know the age of his kids. He had to hesitate.
Way to knock down the black man.
It's all good. So really quickly, what does success look like? So I learned during that time that like I had to put things in perspective. So for me, success looks like God, because I didn't get here by accident. It was, so that's another conversation. My wife, my kids, and then the challenges that I had put in front. So like if I can balance those things, like do really great work like that video project was so good, so exciting, like so fun. But I have the opportunity to do that. I have the opportunity to be close to my family. Things that don't take me away from home too much. That for me, that balance, that's the goal line. It's having that balance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Graduated college at 19?
Yeah.
Wow, that is success. That is amazing.
No, I'm just my we are driven.
That's
That's a fact.
That's
No,
fine.
that's a fact. What I wanted to ask now in this term was more so you had to work with a team, right? And so how do you look at your role within the team? What is like your role? Because I know, like for me, like I know I like to be the oversight. I like to see everything and see how all the pieces are moving. And then some people in the team create the harmony. Other people are like the execution and the ideation people. So where do you find yourself kind of like in that space? And what space do you like to be in particular?
So give me a second and I'll bring it all
good.
together. Okay, so I think it was Andy Stanley that said that there are 3 things that are necessary to work with people, right? And when one of these things is missing, the leader's job is to not only identify it, but to try to correct it.
Right.
And so a shortcut, 3 C's. Some people add a 4th, but it's chemistry. Like, can we have a drink together? Right. There is character. Like, will you do the work? Like when the lights are off, like what is, like you're on this team, like will you give it everything you've got, right? And then the 3rd is competency. Like, do you know what 1 + 1 is? So like if, you know what I mean? So, and some other people would add culture to that, like the dynamic of the team. And so when one of these things are missing, like you cannot work. Like you can. A lot of people, like your resume is your competency, and that's unfortunate to use that as a gauge for. And so I think the way I operate is I find what is missing. Like if we're not getting along, or if it's bad character, like I don't think you are on the boat. And we need to separate, right? There is nothing you cannot teach. For a project, you cannot teach or do anything to make character better. So the quicker you can recognize that, you said it earlier, like everyone here is a volunteer. They want to be here, right? But chemistry, like we could go paintball shooting and we could do things to build chemistry with each other.
Yeah.
Competency is just, your training, and it's just character is really, really important. And all of those things will start to form the culture of the team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see myself as like the keeper, the guardian of that.
Right.
And usually that requires me to have some type of authority.
Mm-hmm.
So I try really hard to be like the most prepared person.
Mm-hmm.
So that whenever I call some of these things out, it's out of because it's some competency will not be an issue. Like people will never guess,
Right.
So that's the role I try to play.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who are just naturally better leaders than I am, but I think my role is just gauging that, is being that thermometer for that, and just trying to be the thermostat as well to adjust that.
I can dig it.
Does-
All right. Yeah. You answered the question. You good. All right. And so for this last section, this is our rapid fire.
Okay.
Yeah. So each of us are going to go around. We're going to ask you 3 questions apiece.
This is the one thing that I'm most afraid of.
Oh,
Don't be
They're
afraid.
just random questions that just pop up in our head.
it's whatever.
Like
Anything that
favorite
comes to your
food or
mind, just
something.
Just shoot it off.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready? All right.
we don't judge.
Bree, you're going to start.
Yes, you do. I've heard
I
enough of
always
this. You do. You definitely. Especially you, Marie.
Oh,
Yeah.
finally!
No, not in the wrong way. Like,
I am offended. I'm not offended. I'm not.
He was getting at you for the. Oh, no, never mind.
there are like 4 different
me.
things that you said during the episode that I'm still like, what does she mean by that?
What did I say?
No, like, I don't want to derail this segment.
Oh, you're
No,
good.
no, go ahead. I want to know.
There's the when we were talking about the candidates, you said about one of them that and I'm just like, oh, what is it? What is it? What is it? And we moved on
When
to
the mics go off.
what we were talking about. So sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Fine.
So, well, you answered my first question. Who was the mixiest?
Who's the what?
The
No.
mixiest.
He didn't call me Mixie.
Who is your favorite DearReading host?
Wow.
That is Mixie.
That's mixy in itself.
That's okay.
My favorite DearReading host.
Yes.
It's really interesting to watch your dynamic.
You're softballing us.
No.
This
I
is
will
it.
get.
I'm
I will get to that in a
interested. I'm
second.
interested.
It's really interesting to see the dynamic between the 4 of you, and one of the, because I feel like there is like we want to.
You could just spit it out.
We don't mind.
There is resentment. There is not anger. There's not frustration, and there is there's creativity, and there is a lot of you guys. It's like I get exhausted sometimes listening because it's a lot of things. And I think you do a really good job, Marquise, of trying to direct. And I think it's important because I feel like sometimes that's how the mind works and that's how the heart works. And you guys touch on all these things that I'm also trying to process. And you don't necessarily bring answers, but I feel like some people will say holy cow, I should listen to a podcast for comfort or for insight. But I feel like you have each of you has a pulse on what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exhausting. And I think I really do think you do a good job of directing the stream of consciousness of what your audience is processing.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer has to be Marquise, but the perspective that each of you brings, oh God, the whole fatherhood conversation. I think we could do a whole season on.
Yes, we could. We could.
And because I feel that, yeah, you all have a pulse on what the heck people want to hear, and there's no resolution, which frustrates me. It really does.
Okay.
But I think it's necessary because the worst, even worse, is if it's not brought up and it's just repressed.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys are all fantastic. You're awesome. I think it's great. But I think the job, the responsibility, the responsibility of just curating the conversation is so important.
The flow.
Not the table is set, and so I can pick and all the things that I should be worried or concerned or thinking about. And I feel like there are some things that are super deep, and then like each one of you just kind of pulls it back up, and I'm like, oh no, get up enough for it to matter. So that's just a really long way of answering that question. The answer is Marquise.
I like that.
Word. Thanks, man. One, also appreciate that feedback, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That, this
definitely.
is super, super necessary. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I love
I'm a
that.
theater guy, so any feedback is always like positive for me.
Cool. I don't come here with any sort of criticism. I
Oh,
think
no.
I think the work you are. Oh God. Okay. Can I preach for 1 second?
Go
Bree?
ahead.
Yeah.
Talk your shit.
Talk.
So, I'm not here to proselytize. I'm not here to convert anyone to like a certain faith language or anything like that. But if you look at society, there are a lot of like historical things that have been dismantled, right? So, like even science, for crying out loud, is not even a real thing anymore, right? Like people don't trust the scientific method anymore. But there's this faith narrative that people don't like. These people, whether they're flawed humans, flawed institutions, total like that's not. But there are thousands and thousands and thousands of years of this narrative that people have been having and debating and killing people over, and nowadays, like we have just taken all of that canon. Like imagine all that experience, that wisdom. Like we don't touch it because of the junk that comes along with it.
Wow.
So like, just for giggles, like, so there are these new things that are coming up, and it's so funny because like, you are the deaconess, and you're the preacher, and you're the other preacher, and you are the preacher, right? Because you're taking up the space to force people to confront these really deep things. Like we talked about not seeing fathers, and there's this place that has them that are kind of successful, but we don't go into those spaces anymore because of the baggage that they carry. So we look to TV, but again, you are curating that and say, like, I'm working through this process with my dad right now. You know how many people are going through that. And so that's not that it's therapy, but yeah, it is. And then when you talk about your week, like good and high, like that's confession, right? That is something that is so necessary.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
But there are these archetypes that each of you are like embodying, and it's fascinating to see. And we're not gonna touch that one. So no. But it's really cool. And so like the responsibility of this conversation, of this narrative, like you're the ones that are brave enough to even start having it. And it's, sorry, this past hour has just been like, what is going on?
No, you're good.
Wow. I never looked at it like
Yeah, and then that's really dope to look.
So
at.
hold that
Yeah.
tight. Hold that with, it's holy.
Okay.
Just to use religious language,
Yeah.
right? Just to wrap that thought up. Like you are inviting people into places that, like you're redefining what that means. And so yeah,
Wow.
I like that.
pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I like that a
I
lot.
appreciate that. All right, so we're gonna hop into the rest of these rapid
So
fire.
okay,
questions.
yes.
No, you're good. You're good.
If it continues like this, I don't think it's gonna work.
Favorite rapper?
So there. So I'm a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've loved the Roots forever.
Wow.
Things Fall
Wow.
Apart has been, but like Black Thought, I feel like the way they all work together. But Black Thought to me just is something. But the way the group, like just the way they merged together, I felt a little weird when they first went on Jimmy Fallon's show.
Yeah.
Like I felt like they lost some credibility. Just a little bit, just to see them as the house band. But not many people could possibly make that transition, so I have respect for that. But I think more recently, there's this guy, and his name is Propaganda. Propaganda, like I like conscious I'm also older. So like the process of taking an idea and delivering it through just a beat, I feel like that's the greatest hack of humanity. Because like you can shortcut and get right into the spirit of the person. So I think the people that can do that is just, that's the greatest. So like when you say you do poetry, I think that's, yeah, it's great. And it's hard work to do it well, right? Yeah. And so, yes, Black Thought.
All right.
I like that.
Is my
So
favorite rapper.
how long have you been drumming?
Oh, my whole life.
Yeah.
Word. Favorite place you lived outside of the United States?
This is such a tough one for me because like I don't have like a real allegiance to a place because we moved so much. But I was just in Nigeria for the Christmas holiday. My brother got married.
Oh, that's dope.
And but the things that because the last time I was in Elisha, so the answer would have been Elisha, my hometown, where I lived. But it was such, because I was a child when we last lived there, when we were last there. But going back as an adult was tough. And so it's still my favorite place, but that used to be home. But now where my wife and children, Berks County, Reading, Pennsylvania is home. So Elisha is the easy answer. But I'm still processing what that trip did to me, man. It was it's brutal.
Oh wow.
That was your question?
Yeah.
Oh, what's your favorite food?
Pounded yam and egusi soup.
You had me at pounded yam. You lost me at soup.
Egusi soup. It's like a melon. It's melons.
Okay.
But like the seeds from melons.
Okay.
They dry them. They grind them, and they make it's this soup, and it's really super rich and super flavor. Because we do a lot of carbs. Like Nigerian people do a lot of carbs. So like your fufu and your eba, and so you have to have this super delicious like soup to go with it, so that you can process all that carb.
Is it like because you say melons, and that makes me think like the soup would be sweet?
No. This is not like watermelon. So this is just a seed.
Okay.
So it's like a little white seed, and it's grounded up, and so you do it with vegetables and like super spicy and meat.
I love anything spicy is good for me.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's life. That's what they say.
That's what the young kids say now. Gives me life.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
I'm trying, man. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
What do you like to do for fun?
What do I like to do for fun? Music. I love to play the drums. It's there's no better. So my faith is really, really important to me. And so
when you say faith, what faith are you?
I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus.
Okay. Me too.
And awesome.
Shout out
awesome.
to Jesus.
So like playing the
throw shade.
drums.
Huh? Jesus gets a shout out. No,
it's all good. It's all good. So playing the drums is great, and it's my way. I believe that we have to be grateful. Like gratitude, the practice of gratitude is really important. The practice of surrender is really important. And so I get to do those two things when I play the drums.
It's fire.
I get to do that with others.
Play any sports?
I do. I played rugby for many years.
It's such a fascinating sport.
But I have
so fascinating.
So I have like 2 pins in my knee.
Oh wow!
And I tore my ACL, MCL, and PCL
At the same time?
and at the same time. So that was in and then I played for Kutztown. So if you know anything about Kutztown rugby,
Do you know
Moose.
Remington White? I believe he played. No.
When
Okay.
I graduated in 2003.
Never mind.
Oh.
No, he's a little older, but he's not. He's,
Oh,
Okay. No, I don't know the name.
okay.
shout
So-
out to him though.
Okay.
You know him?
No.
And I played basketball my entire life, so I'm just getting back into playing basketball again.
Wow.
I played the other day, and I'm hurting still.
Yeah.
So,
Just to bring it back, because you said you wanted to study theater at first. What is one of your favorite plays?
so like, there's this thing about like Shakespeare like he has this, like there isn't one, right? Romeo and Juliet was good.
Othello?
Hamlet was good. Not so much Othello. I never understood it, right? But there is this.
Retweet.
Pardon?
I said retweet. Continue. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Retweet, really?
Yeah. Othello.
So, but like more recently though, the Reading Theater Project. I feel terrible, but there was this play they did when we still had the space at the Tea Factory. Like anything they put out, the Reading Theater, I have to give them a shout out. We were just at the Fringe Festival on Friday. So I had this terrible week last week, and I go into this Fringe Festival. It's just a series of short 10-minute plays.
Mm-hmm.
And in the span before the first intermission, like they helped me exercise all those emotions, because there was anger and there was disgust and there was just joy and there was whimsy.
The theme was finding home, right?
Finding home.
Yeah. This
Yes.
is the theater project that I was too scared to send my play into. Yeah.
I told you to do
I
it.
know.
It
We all
was
did.
it was fantastic. So there's something about theater, man, that but specifically my favorite play was the one they did about a local Berks County girl who I think she was hung for being a witch. And so they did the play in I don't know if any of you know the Tea Factory, what it was before, but in different rooms. And so you would follow. So you would go into a room and would do like an element of the play there. It was
That's really cool.
sounds
Like
dope.
when
and you
plays.
see it around.
Yeah.
It was just so dope. I've gone to a bunch of dinner theaters. I love that crap.
So good.
My wife and I will go to once in a while. We haven't been to Broadway in a while, but I think the last thing we saw wasn't a play, but we saw Stomp.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love Stomp.
I
Oh,
saw that.
it's
I love that.
It's
so
great.
good.
So yeah, theater is
Word. All right. So what we're gonna do now is moving to our Dear Reading segment, and so this is basically like the open love letters to the city. And so in this, we will each basically talk about something, whether it was something from the show or something from the interview, any of the topics that we covered. But it's just our way to end it off. So we'll all go first, and then you finish on the last note. Cool?
just one thought.
Huh?
One thought.
Yeah. You say Dear Reading, and then just whatever flies off.
Train line.
Yeah.
Short little love letter.
Yeah. So who wants to go first?
Dear
No?
Reading, I'll go off something from the interview. Dear Reading, don't be afraid to seek help.
Mm-hmm.
Short and sweet.
I guess I'll go from our Stoop conversation around fatherhood. Dear Reading, you give yourself time to be vulnerable, give yourself time to be understanding, and give yourself time to work through these feelings, whether it's from a single parent household perspective, whether it's you processing your relationship with your father, and do some introspective work on how it affected you a little differently. So that's where I'm at. So I figured give that to the community.
Dear Reading, educate yourself. It's really important that you understand the decisions that are going to impact you 5, 10, 15 years from now. So it's so important for us to educate ourselves. What is it that Chris Rock said? If you want to hide something from a Black person, put it in a book. He said that.
Yeah. No,
And like those are the type of stereotypes that we're trying to avoid. And I put on Twitter earlier how I've been blessed with this year, this past year, I've been blessed with some amazing men in my life, Black or just amazing men in general. And yeah, I just want people to educate themselves, because there's a lot of stereotypes that we're combating every day.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Dear Reading, don't forget, change the narrative in the community. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to be a part of the stereotype or the stigma. You can change things for your community.
Yeah, so there's Dear Reading, I'd like to let you know that even this too shall pass. So I know there are a lot of people struggling, like all sorts of struggle, and this too shall pass. Like it never lasts forever. But then also, like even in the good times, like this too shall pass, right? So like we should always live knowing that life is this dynamic, it's ever changing, it's ever moving. And I would always say the best is yet to come. So that's what I would like to share.
All
All
right.
right. And then for anybody else, well, first and foremost, thank you so much for having this
Thank
interview.
you.
We're so excited
Yes.
to have
Thank
you.
you.